Welcome to SOLIDWORKS for the Engineering Design Process, Lesson 2, Section 1. In this section, you'll be creating an assembly. An assembly in SOLIDWORKS is composed of two or more parts which are brought together by a process called mating. You'll create this assembly, which is composed of two parts, one of which you've already created in Lesson 1, Section 3. You'll begin by creating this second part, Tutor 2. Click New, select Part, and click OK. Click Extruded Boss Base and select the front plane. A sketch automatically opens. Select the Rectangle tool and draw a rectangle beginning at the origin. Next, select the dimensions by clicking Smart Dimension. Set both sides to 120 millimeters. Now exit the sketch so the Extrude Property Manager appears. Under Direction 1, make sure the end condition is set to blind and the depth is set to 90 millimeters. Click the green check mark to apply the extrusion. Now you need to round the edges by using the Fillet feature. If you open the View toolbar and select Hidden Lines Visible, you can view all edges of the part when filleting. Click Fillet and select these four edges. And then set the radius to 5 millimeters. Click the green check mark to apply the changes. You can now return to the Shaded with Edges view. The next step is to hollow out this part by using the Shell feature. Click Shell and select the front face of the model. Set the thickness to 4 millimeters and click the green check mark. At this point, it's a good idea to save this part. The next step is to create a lip on this part so that it can mate with the part from Lesson 1. This will require the use of the Convert Entities tool and the Offset Entities tool. Focus on one of the corners by using the Zoom to Area tool. Click it again to turn off the tool. Click the front face of the thin wall and click Extruded Cut. This will remove some of the material to create the lip. Click Convert Entities and then the green check mark. This takes the front face of the thin wall and makes its outer edge into a sketch. Click Offset Entities and click the front face again. Under Parameters, set Offset Distance to 2 millimeters. Select Reverse and a preview of the offset is shown. Click OK. You are now ready to make the cut. Exit the sketch and the Cut Extrude Property Manager appears. Switch to the front view to see the effect of the offset. You gave it a thickness of 2 millimeters, and that is the portion that will be cut. Switch to the top view to clearly see how deep the cut will be. Set this to 20 millimeters. Apply the changes and return to the trimetric view. As you can see, the material between the two lines is cut, creating the lip. You will now change the color of this part. Click Edit Appearance, and the Color Property Manager appears. Under Color, select the desired color on the color palette and click the green check mark. At this point, you have two completed parts and you're ready to create an assembly. Click New and select Assembly. This will open the Begin Assembly Property Manager. Click Keep Visible so you can insert more than one component without having to reopen the Property Manager. Next, click Browse and navigate to the location of the first part, Tutor 1, and click Open. Click to place the part in the graphics window. Click Browse once more and navigate to the second part that was just created. Place it on the graphics window as well, and click the green check mark. You will bring these two parts together using a process called mating. Click Mate, and the Mate Property Manager will appear. Now select two faces of the parts that you want to bring together. Select the top edge of this part, then the outside edge of the lip on this part. You'll notice the parts shift to align themselves according to the mate. In the Mate Property Manager, the two faces that are mated together are listed under Mate Selections. All the different mate types are listed under Standard Mates. Select Coincident as the mate type. A coincident mate is the most commonly used mate in assemblies. It assures that the two faces are aligned to the same plane. The position of Tutor 2 is not fully defined yet. It still has some degrees of freedom to move in directions that are not yet constrained by mates. You can see this by selecting the part and holding down the left mouse button, then dragging the component. Notice you can move the part in any direction except the direction in which the mate is constraining the part. Also notice that you cannot move Tutor 1. It remains fixed because it was added to the assembly first. You will now add two more mates to fully define this assembly. Select two faces on the right sides of both parts. Ensure that Coincident Mate is selected, and click the green check mark. Now select the top faces of the parts and mate them together. This assembly is now fully defined. Click the green check mark to apply the changes. Take this opportunity to save the assembly. If you see messages about rebuilding the assembly and saving reference documents, select Yes. You will now edit a feature of this part after it has been inserted into the assembly. These two parts do not mate perfectly. This is because the corner fillet radius for Tutor 2 was set to 5 mm and the corner fillet radius for Tutor 1 was set to 10 mm. To edit Tutor 2 in this assembly, double-click the fillet and the radius label appears. Double-click this and the Modify window appears. Set the radius to 10 mm to match the fillet radius of Tutor 1. Click Rebuild to apply the new radius, then click the green check mark to exit the Modify window. The display settings for each component can be changed and saved. At the top of the Feature Manager design tree, click Show Display Pane. The display pane shows different display settings of each component. To add and save a display style, right-click in the display panel and select Add Display State. Enter the name you would like to give this display configuration and press Enter. If you wanted to change the display style of Tutor 2, for example, you would move the pointer to the Display Mode column in the Tutor 2 row. Click once and select the desired display style. Now hide the display pane. To return to default display styles, right-click and select Default Display State 1. To return to the display configuration you just created, right-click and it will be listed. In this video, you created a new part to use in an assembly. During the creation of this part, you learned about some new tools, such as offset entities and convert entities. You then used this part along with a part created earlier to create an assembly. You used the concept of mating to bring the two parts together to form this assembly. You also learned about editing a part and changing the display styles after it has become part of an assembly.